Hey, I'm Kev here, Mr. Kern. Welcome to some more coverage from Season 3 of Formula Xbox. And Tier 1 visited Hungary for round 11 and the start of the second part of Season 3. And as you can see, it's pissing it down in qualifying. Again, not as bad as in Britain, but that where they moved to Germany, now it's moved to Hungary. And as you can see, it's intermediate, whereas you get the fuel mix up to rich. And we learned from our mistakes in Germany as we're doing this right at the end of the session, but it was poor lap from me, and the cell was a bit weird. It was very oversteery in qualifying, and as you're going to see in the race, which was dry, it was a bit understeery, so you know that was a bit annoying. But our qualifying on that was so messy. As you see, already making mistakes in turn 1, getting the back end all out of shape. And if we were just smooth and, you know, just glided through the corners like I normally do, well, I wouldn't say glide, but, you know, be a bit smoother through the corners like I normally am, I probably would have had a much better qualifying position, as you will see. But going wide there in the left-hander, it's so easy to do if you just miss the apex a tiny bit, and we're already almost a second of the pace of our term just in that first sector alone. And as you can see, very messy second sector, losing the back end through the chicane, and very tricky, nice and flowing corners though. I do love this middle sector in Hungary, but yeah, just so tricky to get right. And you know, this season hasn't been going that well as we go wide in that bloody right-hander. You know, we haven't had the top 5 result. Only really in Jerez we should have got one. You know, kind of made a mistake there. But if we didn't make that mistake, you know, just one top 5 out of the first few races, you know, it hasn't been the greatest season up to this point. But, you know, Hungary, Belgium, Monza, Italy, you know, tracks that I normally do better at, and, you know, I expected to do better at this season. And as you can see, I was turned pole by almost 2 seconds. Bloody incredible. But brilliant qualifying from Stop Matt and Hybe right behind his teammate Legion, and Drastic Midget in the top 5. And as you can see, if I just kept it nice and smooth, I could have maybe got that top 5 qualifying position. But unfortunately, Kel's disconnected from qualifying, as you saw, and God has joined for the race. So we still only have 10 guys, hoping to take advantage of the, you know, less competition on track and get a good result from this race and get a clean start, as well as Hungary first corner. Normally an instant is going on as we've got Drastic Devil and Goddard behind us, and Goddard's looking down our inside, Drastic Devil looking on the outside, and we're just very cautious into this first corner. I said incidents happen, and unfortunately it happened for Stop Matt on brilliant qualifying. Unfortunately just roamed by that first corner, Goddard's, and I think Random Beats got caught up in that as we looked a bit down the inside of Cartman as well, but up to already made up a place. And then into the left hand, Drastic Midget's gone wide, so Drastic Devil's pass, and Cartman trying to make some moves early on as well, down his inside into the chicane. Drastic Midget just didn't see him, it seemed, and we're up to 5th spot, and Random Beats has already left the building. So up to 5th spot. Unfortunate for the guys having instance, but it's been a good start for us, you know, keeping it clean, making up positions. And now we're catching Drastic Devil inch by inch, meter by meter, 10th by 10th, and he's making mistakes all over the place, really struggling in his early part of the lap. But we do have Goddard catching us both, you know, very fast driver, of course. Goddard, I think, was actually leading the championship at this point in the season, where before we went a bit awry in the second half of the season for him, unfortunately. But through this right-hander, very tricky middle sector, as I said, and Drastic Devil's gone wide. We're trying to take advantage of it through the left-hander, going a bit wide all over the curve, but in the right-hander, we have our nose in front. We claim the corner, and we claim 4th spot, just over 3 seconds behind Hybe and Legion, who we're just hanging on to, and they're trying to hang on to ours at the front. But here's DRS down the front straight, and I did expect Drastic Devil just to breeze up to my back of the car and just dive it down the inside into turn 1, but he didn't actually have the speed down the straight, so I'm not sure if he had more wing or just lower gearing. But you know, I managed to hold him off down these straights. He was a bit better through the corners, I will say that, and we were already locking up, having tiny brake problems, and brake problems will be a big part of my season, unfortunately, in this second half of the season. But we are staying out in front of Devil, and maybe we're just running a bit less downforce and a bit longer gearing down those straights. So we go a bit wide in that left hand, and that was Devil to have a little look in the right hander. He's all over our back end, but unfortunately he has to release the steering a bit mid corner, and that's made him go wide. God has got past him, and then on the next lap, as you are about to see, just brake failure at the top of the hill there into the left hander, and you know, the rise and fall of Drastic Devil has been very swift in this race on the next lap on that 5. But we do have Goddard catching us, and as I said, very fast driver. Just under a tenth, he gained us in that middle sector. Then we went wide on that right-hander, as I said, understeery car, especially on these prime tyres, very annoying. And we're losing time to Hybe in front, over 5 seconds in front now. And Legion making his first pit stop in. It's a 2-stop race this, and it proved to be a 2-stop race because degradation very high, extreme really, on the softs. And Goddard, here we go, has DRS, dives it down the inside. I just let him have that position because, as you're going to see, he's got the option tyres, I got the prime. We're running different races. If we're just fighting, we're just losing time to each other. So just better to let him go and just drive our own race here. And that's what I expected Drastic Devil to do, to us once I got past him. But as you can see, Goddard definitely did do it to us as we dropped down to 4th place. And we've got Drastic Major catching a bit on us, thanks to his strategy. And as you can see, going wide in the left-hander, going even wider in the right-hander when we have our clean air, trying to get a fast lap in before we make our pit stops onto the options. But we definitely had to make our pit stop, and that was on lap 8, I believe, at the end of lap 8. So we've got our fresh tyres here, and there's big fighting in front between Stopmat and Goddard, who pulled out a gap with the undercut there. And Drastic Magic, look at that, much closer to our tail as we go through the left-hander, actually made it stick there. And into the middle sector, through the right-hander, Stopmat going wide, just like Drastic Devil did before him. And Goddard takes advantage of that into the right-hander. Got a lovely run through that, and he just goes slightly wide, Stopmat. So with our fresher tyres though, we can dive it down the inside and take advantage of, Goddard's unsettling him, got to follow him through, very important move. And of course we have Midget catching on us, so very important move to do, as Stopmat has a little look back, but we managed to stay in front and inches away from the pit entrance there. And then Goddard turns into a ghost. I think his controller disconnected. I can't actually remember the real reason, but I think that's what happened. And unfortunately on the next lap he had already retired. So big for the championship that was, as we're in 4th place. And look at the top 3 way in front, so we're concentrating on our battle with Drastic Midget as best of the rest. And that's not going to help going wide. As I said, brake problems, big part of this second half of the race, especially on these options, which I didn't practice on at all. And a big part of the second part of this season, as Midget just under that second gap. And we're really pushing hard because, as I said, we've got these option tyres for the second half of the race. We started on primes and then options for the second half of the race, so we expect to go very fast. And we've got Cartman behind us, and Midget pitted to that before, so I thought I'd try and cut off his undercut, try and pit on this lap. But Cartman's 14.5 seconds behind. Maybe not enough. Maybe I should have held on for another lap even. Had to go into the lean, and as you saw, Legion in the pit for his second stop, going on to the options for his final stint, as he went prime for the middle stint there. But as you can see on the left hand side, if you can see, there's a yellow dot speeding down the pit straight, and that was Cartman. And so maybe I should have held it on for another lap, because Cartman was struggling with his tyres. Even though my options were I was struggling a bit, I would have been faster, I reckon, than Cartman. I could have maybe edged out the gap. But lucky for me, Stopmat and Drastic Midget are fighting hard behind, so good job, Stopmat, this race. But as we go into the right hand here, entering the final sector, we're right on the tail of Cartman. Our tyres up to temperature, and we're up to speed, and we're braking very hard just to avoid getting back into him, and trying to get a good exit into this last corner and go round his outside. I believe Legion did that to Cartman as well on worn tyres. So we've copied Legion, got past Cartman around his outside up to 4th spot, and we do have that buffer between us of Cartman. But he pitted soon, I think. I'll just drop back. Midget got past Stopmat, but we're just managing the gap to Midget in these last parts, as the top 3 are just ages in front of us. And we managed to do that as we change it up to a rich fuel mix for the last 100 metres. Very important to do, especially as I want to get my fastest lap under the 121 barrier, and I did. But brilliant job from RS2M. Look at that, in another area code at the front. Then Hybe Legion, and a great 4th place for us, first top 5 of the season for us. So very happy with that, best of the rest. But I reckon I could have got a tiny bit better, but let's see if we can do that in Spa. So unfortunate to tell then. Cheerio.